uses emoji. Everybody uses emoji.
Hello and welcome to Emoji Wrap, a podcast about all things emoji. I'm your host, Jeremy Burge, and I'm joined today by Christina Warren. Christina, you might know from past gigs at Mashable, at Gizmodo. She's got a bunch of podcasts and now is at Microsoft. Before I get on with the show, I just wanted to welcome anyone that has come here from the email newsletter. From this month, we're sort of merging the newsletter and the podcast a bit more. We're going to be covering the topics that are listed in the email right here on the podcast. So if you come from the email, welcome. And if you want to have a look at what's in the email rather than just hear us talk about it, you can subscribe at emojipwrap.com. That's enough from me at the top of the episode. I'll see you in a minute with Christina.
Ride a bullet train, eat a mushroom, kiss a bee. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody uses emoji. Everybody uses emoji.
Okay, welcome, Christina. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. It is really nice to speak to you after the last time I saw you was in Seattle, coming up to the Unicode meeting at Microsoft.
Yeah, and I mean, I was so excited to finally meet you in person after however many years we've been interacting online. That was so cool.
It's been a long time.
It's been a really long time. And also what I was really excited about was the fact that like you're in the consortium, and that to me is so good because we need, at least in my dealing, I mean, they're getting better and we've talked about that, but like in my dealings with trying to get answers and feedback and things from Unicode, like they're so smart, right? Like the people who are involved care so much, but it can kind of be difficult to kind of break in, right? And
yeah. I mean, I can only imagine the Unicode inbox is just overflowing with requests from kids to press to everyone on the planet.
Yeah, no, in the old days, I think they've changed it now, but I remember when I first started covering emoji and was trying to kind of, go through the process, and this was probably like 4 or 5 years ago, when I was trying to kind of get into like, okay, this is how this works and this is how something becomes an official emoji and how it gets into the system. And I'm exploring how the Unicode stuff works. And I'm like, I'm having to go through mailing lists and I'm having to sign up, make requests in like the most bizarre ways, like from what you would normally expect to kind of try to get, outreach. Even from academic institutions, they don't usually ask you to go through a mailing list. And I think they've changed that since then. But it was just one of those things. It was like, oh, okay, that's a little different. All right.
I think they're trying a bit harder now, but it's not. I guess it sort of snuck up on everybody, right? No one cared about what emoji was, and then one day, and then the next day, it was this thing that was like, oh, what is this? And you were, to be honest, one of the earliest people sort of covering this from a consumer tech angle, you might say.
Yeah.
That early on that it was either a very esoteric Unicode topic or nobody cared, and there were you digging around years ago before it was on every headline, let's say. So that was fun. And what we're doing this episode, actually, we're changing it up a little. In the past, we sort of looked at emoji topics, what's been going on, but I thought this would be way better to just look at this month's Emoji Wrap email and hit through what's been happening in the last month. So I sent you a link to it. I'm looking at the first thing in here is that the Animoji leaked before the Apple event. Do you pay attention? You're at Microsoft now. Do you still pay attention to Apple news? What's going on?
Oh, I pay attention to all the tech news, and especially when big leaks happen, because as a former journalist, that was always the most exciting part, would be if something like major leaked before an event. I don't care what company it is. That was always really exciting for a couple of reasons. One, like the story of the leak itself sometimes there's schadenfreude involved. Sometimes there's just like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened involved. Sometimes there's just professional curiosity. But then there's like the selfish part where you're like, oh good, now I can pre-write all these stories even better.
Oh yeah.
Because the dirty little secret about like big events like the Apple Day is a great example. But this would be true, for any kind of the big launches, is that I don't know how every newsroom works, but the newsrooms that I worked in, taking like Apple Day, for instance, we would have, a number of people on staff doing things, and I would either be at the event or I'd be running things from the newsroom, and you have probably 15 stories pre-assigned, and you write your introductions, you put in like TK, which is just like parlance for I'm going to fill in these details once I hear them, but you try to kind of get the skeleton of your story up. You're not putting in an opinion.
You're trying to go, there's going to be a new iPhone coming out, so you're
Right.
going to say, today Apple launched a new
Exactly.
iPhone, or
Right.
they announced a new iPhone and the details were blank.
Exactly. And yeah, you're not adding an opinion, you're not putting in an analysis. It's nothing like that. But you want to have the skeleton of the story so that as soon as you hear the announcement, you can fill in those details and hit publish and get it out as fast as possible, because you're competing with like a bajillion other outlets to try to get the same news out. And so when this sort of stuff happens from a selfish level, you're kind of like, oh, good. Okay, well, I can pre-write a lot better now. So seeing the Animoji, which obviously was a big moment on stage and was kind of one of those nice whimsical things, you know, kind of similar to some of the iMessage stuff that they've shown off in the past, was really cool to see, but it was also really kind of a shock, because I don't think anybody was expecting that. I think we were all maybe expecting them to show off new emoji,
Right.
which are going to be coming later in the year. But the Animoji was a whole new thing, especially the way that it works with your face and that sort of thing was.
It was pretty clever
yes.
marketing, doing I guess taking what they obviously want to show the iPhone 10 new feature. This new uses the facial recognition, so they want to do that. They know people are expecting a new emoji set to come out, maybe. But so even this has almost nothing to do with emoji. It's sort of just a movie. If you haven't seen this, it's you look at your phone and an emoji mimics what you do back at you. So it's sort of like send a little video message, but your head looks like a Snapchat filter.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was some great marketing though, because it got the emoji angle, which people care about, and the facial recognition in the same story.
Totally. And I think that from an emoji perspective, it becomes really interesting because you start to think about if this takes off. And obviously, I think it will, but it'll take some time, right? Because it's only going to be available on one phone that's going to be in short supply and whatnot. And it's not exactly clear, like, how people who don't have, I mean, I think if you don't have the phone, obviously you're going to need an iPhone to be able to see it. But I think it's sort of interesting from an emoji perspective because we've kind of put, and we're going to talk about this in later stories, we've kind of put certain definitions behind what different emojis look like, what the face looks like, and
Right.
and you build meaning into that. And so if you can now have the facial expressions differ, that creates a different kind of communication.
Right, it's a different. Yeah, you can't rely on the poo always being happy now.
Right.
If it can be angry and sad and talking like you, then what does it even mean?
Right.
But I did think, unfortunately for Apple, maybe by this leaking, I think this became the biggest shorthand for. What do you mean I've got to spend $1,000 on a phone to get an animated poo? Like, it's such a
Right.
clear messaging thing that
totally.
works with some surprise, but when you do it without the surprise, it's just such an easy take, I guess. You can do it. Yeah.
You can
Do
do an
think
easy
that
take.
hurt them?
I don't know if it hurt them. I mean, I'll be honest. I think people like you and I, and maybe people listening to this podcast, care about the leaks. The general public hears about what's going to be announced. Like they know in advance, oh, I heard a new iPhone's coming out. What's happening? And that's what I would get asked in cabs. That's what we asked by, general people, weeks, months leading up to the event. And then afterwards, what happens is that people, including myself formerly, will go on CNN or CNBC or whatever, and we'll break it down and we'll say, well, this is what they've announced. And people go on the radio and kind of hear the high level thing. And so most people, I think, going into the event, most people who are going to buy iPhones aren't really paying attention. They don't really care. And so it's just all about however it's positioned after the fact. And I think a lot of those people, if they hear, oh, we've got these cool emoji things, or if they go into the stores and are able to kind of see a demo or watch, clips of the event online, then they still have that sense of surprise and that sense of whimsy. I think that you're going to, anytime you release a product with a base price of $1,000, when just a few years ago, the subsidized price, at least in the United States for a phone, was $200, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be writing takes, criticizing things. But I don't think that the Animoji really had any play in that.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, at least, it seems like Emojipedia has a pretty wide audience, and just the regular public, they seem to think it's fun. People that have iPhones, like, this looks fun.
It does.
There seems to be some disappointment that it's only in the iPhone 10, that obviously that works in Apple's favor, but a lot of people going, oh, I really want this, but
Right.
I don't want to get that phone.
I don't want to get that
I
phone.
can't afford that phone. Yeah.
Exactly. But the nice thing is, in the future, I think we can all kind of posit that this will become a feature that trickles down, So in a few years, this will be more widely available, and they'll be doing some other interesting things with that. But I also, what I'm kind of looking forward to is to see if other companies adopt this idea.
Right, yeah. And I guess other companies are probably feeling annoyed that they've all done some kind of animated emoji thing, not in this way, but Apple does get a bit of not a free pass, but they get more publicity and people get more behind their thing, whereas Google every month they're coming out with a new Allo thing, and there's so many things they're coming out with that people just get a bit lost in the messaging, whereas this is a clear single feature.
Exactly, because still most Android users are like, what's Allo and why would I do this?
Right, yeah, and they can have some fun things, but yeah. Anyway, moving along, next topic I have in here, which doesn't really affect me much, but I see Halloween emojis are always insane for some reason. That I don't know what it is about you guys in the United States, but but Halloween just like shoots to the top of the emoji charts for like nobody else come October 1st, which it is today. So this looks like somebody is very upset that people are using the Halloween emojis too soon. I don't really.
Yeah,
I feel like you can use the Halloween emojis whenever you want
totally.
to.
Use the pumpkin whenever you want. And people get upset. So what happens here in the United States is that it's kind of a trend where the rush to the holiday season starts earlier and earlier. Like at certain craft stores, you will, and I'm not even joking, you will see Christmas stuff out in August. And to me, that does feel soon, right? I think like August is a bit soon to have all of your Christmas decorations up and whatnot.
It does feel like the wrong season.
But you see it. And I think that, at this point, now it's October. So yeah, we're deep in pumpkin spice season. But I mean, basically, as soon as it kind of begins to be fall a little bit, people start with the Halloween stuff, and I guess some people kind of take issue with that. But like, I'm like you. I'm like, use it whenever you want. Use it in February around Valentine's Day if you celebrate that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, use it whenever you want. The pumpkin emoji is great. Enjoy it. But now as we're recording this on October 1st, like we're deep in pumpkin spice holiday Halloween season. Embrace it. Use it. I like it.
I've got to ask an ignorant question.
Sure.
Halloween is at the end of the month sometime,
yes, it is.
correct?
It is October 31st. It is October 31st.
It's always October 31st.
It's always October 31st.
So you can't really have a party if it's a Monday night as easily, can you? Do you move it around a little?
Exactly. So that's what people will do, is that they might celebrate it on the weekend. Kids might go trick-or-treating a little bit early. Although even then, I mean, when I was growing up, I think there were only maybe one or two occasions that I can recall that we might have gone trick-or-treating on a time that wasn't Halloween, and usually that was weather-based and not day-based, because like for adults, you might have a party over the weekend, but kids, if it's Monday, Sunday, whatever, like, you're going out, you're going trick-or-treating, you're going door to door and begging for candy, and then, being tired the next day / over-energized because of all the candy you ate. So it's always a funny thing. It's always fun.
That is the best Halloween emoji, right? The jack-o'-lantern. There's the ghost, so. I guess.
No,
but this one is like distinctly Halloween.
Yeah, it's distinctly Halloween with the jack-o'-lantern, because that is such a Halloween thing. Like, you see pumpkins throughout the fall in the United States, but when you carve things into it, that's the jack-o'-lantern. And as fun as the ghost is, and as much as I enjoy the ghost, I'm going to be honest, I feel like Snapchat has like bogarted the ghost.
Yeah. Oh no.
I don't know how the younger kids feel, but I feel like at this point I look at it, I'm like, oh, the Snapchat icon, and I'm like, damn, no, I don't want to be, but that's kind of become that. So
got it. The ghost is out, pumpkin's in.
Yeah.
I'm looking down our list today. The next topic here, which I'm going to have to say, we've got a few US-centric things here. Venmo. So my understanding, being outside the US, Venmo seems like a big deal. And you send people money, and it's a fun thing to do to attach an emoji to it. To sort of.
Yes.
Can you do text as well? As just people like to do an emoji?
Yeah. You can do text too. So basically, the idea behind Venmo is that it's one of those payment-to-payment systems. Be the same as kind of like Baidu Pay or Alipay. In Asia, and if you have like a bank system that lets you do easy transfers, you can do that. But it's a super Square Cash is kind of similar, but it's a super easy way to send cash to anyone. And how it usually works is that you can use anyone's number, but it kind of connects to Facebook, so you can just kind of look someone up on Facebook, find them in the system, and then send the money.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that, the Facebook link. So I can just start harassing my friends. I don't think it works outside the US at the moment, but I could just harass my friends in the US for money just by clicking a button.
Basically. And then when you put in what is this for, and there's a ledger that kind of acts as a public social network. Now you can make this private or you can make it public. And if you make it public, what's fun is you can go through your own friends list and you can see what people are paying for. And that you don't see the amount, but you just see, oh, I paid so-and-so for, and then you'll see the beer emoji, or I'll see, like a chicken emoji, or I'll see whatever. And you can try to kind of figure out what people are paying for. And that creates kind of this interesting social network of sorts. But what they started doing really early on in Venmo's life cycle, and Venmo was bought by Braintree, which was then bought by PayPal. So it's technically a division of PayPal. But before they were ever acquired, one of the interesting things they would do is, in addition to putting the tech stuff in, is they started putting in the ability to support emojis. And the way that the emoji thing does is, if you type in, like chicken, this was well before Slack was doing it, well before iOS was doing it, you would start to see the chicken emojis below.
That was sort of doing auto suggest for emoji before it hit everywhere.
Exactly. They were. I would have to look. I'm not 100. I don't want to say definitively they were the first. I think they were the first major service to do that. That's certainly where I saw it the first time.
Even from the outside, it seemed like a cultural thing that people were aware. They associated sending an emoji with I know about it, and I've never used Venmo.
Yeah,
I know that people send an emoji with their payment.
Exactly. And it's always kind of fun because with my circle of friends, you always try to come up with, you try to tell the story in emoji, and like if I'm doing a chicken sandwich, like Chick-fil-A for instance, is something that I used to, when I lived in New York City, especially once Chick-fil-A came to New York City, we would do lunch orders from Postmates. And so I would order lunch for a bunch of people. And then, they would all Venmo me, and then they would send in, like the piece of bread, the chicken, another piece of bread, that would represent a chicken sandwich.
Do you all make this public? This confuses me, this public sharing of who I'm sending money to and what it's for.
It depends on what it's for. Honestly, I do, because I kind of like it. For most transactions, there'd be certain things, like I had a person who came to clean my apartment who was wonderful over TaskRabbit. Because we then stopped using TaskRabbit and we were just paying her directly, I kept the Venmo record private because I didn't want to mess with her taxes. There are also stories where you'll see, people who are maybe buying things that aren't legal everywhere. I'm well aware of the fact that the lookups for drugs on Emojipedia are very high. Right,
and a corollary.
And you will see like the listing of people who will just be upfront about what they're buying on Venmo is tremendous, and I'm going, okay, maybe don't. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. You do you. Me personally, right. I would not like to have that in a public ledger someplace where somebody could be like, aha, why did you type in these emoji, and then have to, answer questions. Oh, but I didn't really mean this. I meant cough medicine.
Yeah, I was really just buying herbs.
Exactly,
I cook a lot, doing a lot of cooking.
I'm buying herbs. I'm planting things for my garden. Exactly. So, yeah. But you'll see people do that sort of thing. So it's kind of a weird cultural thing. A lot of people have written articles about kind of the public nature of Venmo. And I think that it depends on your friend circle. It depends on, how old you are and how long you've been using it. Not everyone has to, and it's very easy to make it private, but a lot of people do. And that's why it was Esquire who wrote this article, right? About what they all mean.
What have we got here? This one's a more humorous take from the New Yorker.
The New Yorker, yeah, the New Yorker, yes.
I think there has been a few pieces around.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, exactly, and I love this piece though, because you're right. It's totally like what you see, and when you do see this frequently, like your ex, like there's this one thing, your ex paid Mark for beers. Like your ex went out drinking with a sales rep at his company who just a month ago he called a total douchebag, and you will totally see that. Or even worse, you'll be like, your ex just went out with your friend. Because you see who people are out with, and you're like, wait a minute. Or sometimes what's really great about it is that, you'll have plans with someone and they'll be like, oh, I can't go out. Okay.
Oh, cool. No.
And then you look in Venmo, because you're paying someone in Venmo, and you're like, you see that like 3 people were all out, and they're all like buying beers or cocktails or something. You're like, really?
You're seeing burgers and fries and drinks and dancing emojis across the screen.
Well, true story. I'm going to out him. He will never listen to this podcast. But a guy I used to work with, Michael Nunez, great guy, amazing guy, made a real bad faux pas. So he was dating 2 girls at the same time. He wasn't exclusive. That's totally cool, right? That's 100% okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's totally fine.
No judgment, Michael.
No, that's good. And you do you, Mike. What's not good is he made plans with one girl to go to the holiday party with her company, and he'd been out all afternoon with this other girl, and he got home and he was tired and he didn't want to go out. So he was like, oh, I'm not feeling well. I'm sick. I haven't been feeling good all day. Well, she did a couple things. One, she stalked his Instagram and saw that he'd been taking photos during the day, which that's amateur hour, Mike. Don't do that. But the even worse thing was that she saw his Venmo transactions and like saw that he was clearly like out and about and fine. And called him on it. And he was like, why are you calling me out on this? I'm like, because you made it so easy. Like, if you're trying to break plans with someone, especially if you're like doing a double dip date, which is always like very tough to maneuver. And I say this as a married person who hasn't had to worry about this in a while. But if you're going to do the 2 dates in 1 day thing, you got to like be very careful with that. Don't put your Venmo history online because the emojis will give you away. Yeah,
no, poor form, Mike. Don't bail on plans, and if you're going to, then just go deep down, just go off the radar. Yeah,
exactly.
Don't do that. I would like to say if Venmo comes here, I mean, we've got similar money transaction things in the UK, but there is no social aspect. You send the emoji and it's just private. I don't know. I like the fun idea. I like that you can see where your friends are out and you can kind of picture what they're doing. But yeah, I do wonder about the slippery slope when I disappear for a few days off it, that people would wonder.
Well, I mean, it just kind of depends. I mean, the nice thing about it is because, like I said, it usually does hook in with Facebook. The ledger is so vast that you see what you see, at least me. Like, I'm not the sort of person who will like go back massively in time because I would never leave Venmo. I would just be, the only bad thing about it too, especially with the emoji part, is that sometimes you do have total FOMO. You're like, oh man, I should have gone out last night, or oh man, everyone else is having so much fun but me. Here I'm like Venmoing for like
15 cocktails. Yeah.
Right. Here you're all doing these amazing things and I'm like Venmoing for like toilet paper.
All right, Venmo. Next up, what do we got here? Samsung's emoji. We've covered Samsung and their crazy emojis so many times on this podcast, but it's evergreen. It's evergreen.
It's evergreen. It's always never stops.
Well, this is something that Flo put together for Emojipedia. It's just a bit of a summary of some of the more outlandish or quirky Samsung emojis that fall out of form. What isn't in this list, which I really like, actually, my favorite Samsung emoji, which I'm going to Google right now, is, we mentioned it before, the ghost. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the Samsung ghost emoji?
I haven't seen the Samsung ghost. Now I'm going to pull it up on Emojipedia.
So while you pull it up, what it is so everyone else is a ghost, often a party ghost, as I like it, with his arms up in the air, looks kind of excited. But the Samsung one is a yellow emoji dressed as a ghost. So it's a yellow emoji with a sheet over its head. And so it's a ghost costume emoji, which I think is really cute and kind of clever.
Oh, he is cute. Oh, he looks like he's dressed up for Halloween. Oh, I like him. I like him, yeah, because everybody else kind of looks, like I said, like the Snapchat at this point, right? Or the Microsoft one actually looks like Ghostbusters.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, now you mention it.
The Microsoft one looks like Ghostbusters. The Facebook one kind of looks like a Blueberry, but he's not blue. Yeah, the cereal, if you're familiar. But yeah, no, the Emoji Dex, that's a freaky ghost. That one's really scary. But I like the
Emoji Dex
Samsung.
Always follow up the bottom. They're like, you think Samsung had done something outlandish, then you scroll down to Emoji Dex.
And you're like, oh yeah, these are the real outliers. No, I think the Samsung one's adorable because you've got your little yellow emoji guy with it's like he's dressed up for Halloween. He's so cute. Aww.
So that's a positive note on Samsung. I'm going to leave the rest of them there because we've got a bunch of other things to get to, but I thought that was a fun highlight of the Samsung emoji set. The blob emoji, this feels like forever. Google announced earlier in the year they were getting rid of the blob, their blob emoji style. Then it took them a long time, and then Android 8 came out, but no one has it yet. Well, like 1% of users have it. I liked this article in particular, though, from Wired, that shows some of the composites that make up the Android emoji, where they've got like all the different smiles they use and all the different eyes they use. Have you seen this article before?
Yes, I have. I looked at it before we got on the show, and yeah, I think this is really interesting. I like the changes they've made. I think that they look a lot better. I think that the evolution of what they've done, you and I've talked about this, and I know you've talked about this on the podcast before, but there was kind of this interesting moment with emoji where I think a lot of companies really tried to kind of stand out and have their own their own take on what things look like. But as emoji becomes more and more of a pigeon and people start to use it in different contexts, it does kind of, I think, become important that things look more similar. And so it's been sort of interesting to see how it's evolved from kind of that weird blob style into obviously still having Google's DNA and stuff on it, but being more like what you see everywhere else, being more circular and kind of having that more, emoji movie style thing.
Yeah. I'm still seeing a lot of pushback. There's so many fans of the blob that even though I I don't have a way to quantify this because the Emojipedia audience, at least on social media, is quite into emoji as a concept,
right?
Let's say. So therefore, there's a lot of fans of the blob on there because they care about communication. They like the blob's neutrality. They like its distinctiveness. But it seems still like the majority of people that I speak to anywhere are just want it to look like iOS. Maybe not directly like it, but they want to approximate what they're going to see. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I get that. I think your fans who have, who have become kind of attached to a certain thing, that makes total sense. But I do think that for like broadly, I mean, studies have shown like they can mean very different things depending on whether something's smiling or frowning, and the way it looks can completely alter the context of a conversation. And so when that becomes part of how people communicate, even if it does take some of the originality and the neutrality and that stuff out of it, it can make communication, especially with people across countries and across, mobile platforms, more difficult. So I'm in favor of anything that makes things, I guess, maybe more universal for understanding, even though I can totally sympathize with the diehards who are like, no, but this takes some of the fun away. One question for you. Obviously, this is rolling out with Oreo, with Android Oreo, but hasn't Google, I mean, obviously things are dependent on whatever skin you've got on your phone. Haven't they, though, been trying to work on updating emojis as part of, like, separate from the OS itself, as part of, like, the Google keyboard or part of Google Play services? Or am I misremembering that?
No, they have. That was the announcement earlier in the year that they're doing what's called Emoji Compat, which it's a hard pitch for them because effectively what it is, the idea, what they pitch it as is they say, well, this is how we'll make sure that emojis can get updated when the OS isn't updated, which is a great pitch. But the reality is that it's a library that app developers need to include.
So it's not something that they can just download on your phone. It's something that needs to actually be included by each and every app.
Yes. So there's a system level component. The system does the downloading of the new font and it handles to make sure it's on there and it's going to work with your keyboard. So they're doing all the hard work, but they do still need that hypothetically, if I have a 2-year-old Android device right now, and at this stage, no apps that I'm aware of include this. I know we're only a month in, but you're going to need, for instance, Instagram is the biggest one I can think of that uses native emojis per platform. If Instagram hypothetically put Emoji Compat in their app, which apparently is very easy to do, then we're going to start seeing in years to come, next year Android will update, and if the 95% still don't have it, they'll get the new emojis. So I think we've got, I reckon, at least 2 years until your average user is actually going to get enough apps that have this and another Android or 2 update or so to see that until we're going to see any real results there. Yeah.
And you also wonder about, especially in other countries where this is maybe more of a big deal than it is in the US, or in London or England, is, what does it do to the size of the apps? Like, how big is that library file? Like, hopefully it's fairly small, but I don't know, and if that's going to do anything to, how much people will be.
Yeah. That is part of it. They've got 2 different parts, apparently. One where you can embed the entire font in your app, which I think they highly don't recommend because it does make it huge. And then the other part where the system does it and they do it through Google Play services, which is their system level. We can download extra stuff on the side if your carrier doesn't want to let you have it. So I think they've done it quite well, but it's going to be a little while till we see some results. Next up, what do we got? A review of the city emojis. I actually love these videos. You might not have had a chance to look at some of them, but there's a whole series of these YouTube videos, which is a bit of a Tumblr meme as well. People love on Tumblr to do the thing where they'll look at every platform's emoji and kind of give it a cute review of what they think of this one and that one. And this Colin reviews emojis on YouTube. He's done 35 of these videos. I'll probably put a little clip in of the video maybe here. And yeah, they're fun, and he's quite tongue-in-cheek about it. Sometimes people get annoyed at him because he doesn't seem to take it too seriously, but I don't know. I think it's a fun look at some of the differences with some of the emojis, and recommend you check it out. Very cool. NYC using racy emoji posters to combat rise in STDs. Yeah, this is I
like this.
I don't know. Yeah, it's fun, right? It's fun. They've got some eggplants out there. They're trying to promote safe sex and getting tested for STDs. Yeah, why not? But it is quite funny that obviously they got like the eggplant and the taco and the peach, and Yeah, does this mean it's mainstream? Do people all get that emojis have these sexual connotations as well, or is it just the target audience are the only people that need to know?
I think probably the target audience first and foremost, but I think even more people know at this point that the eggplant means a certain thing. I mean, I would think even I hope my mom, I mean, I don't know. I think my mom would know what the eggplant means, but maybe she wouldn't.
You never asked her before.
No, I haven't. I've never asked my mom if she
grandparents.
knows what the eggplant means, but I kind of now want to have a conversation with her about it and just see how deep it goes. But yeah, no, I mean, and look, this is really going for the target audience, and I think that these are cute. I think that I like that the health idea that the health department is doing this. I think that that's at least getting people paying attention, because you've seen similar things with other campaigns that the health department has put on before, where they've tried to kind of use humor and maybe be a little bit provocative or whatever to get people to pay attention. And I think that this is a good way of just at least drawing people in and saying, oh yeah, okay, helps plant the seed of safer sex.
Yeah, and I've noticed actually a bit of a trend away from using Apple's emoji images in advertising. I wonder if people have started to catch up to the fact that even though I'm not aware of Apple prosecuting any copyright cases on this sort of thing, that I think in the last year or two people have sort of gone, oh, hang on a minute, these are commercial images, and do we need a license to use them or do we not?
Right.
And I don't think
it's
clear. Yeah, it's not clarified exactly, that you can use fonts in ads and it's sort of like a font, but I have noticed in particular we're seeing far more of this sort of thing where you'll just go, no, we'll redesign our own one. People will know.
Which makes sense. I mean, and at this point, if you are following at least along with whatever the lines are, there are like the Emoji One, libraries. There are open source emoji libraries you could use. But I mean, I think if you follow along kind of the Apple driven stuff, then you understand the connotation just as well. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, usually how fonts work in advertisement is you buy a license for the font from the foundry, which you do it each time. So if you're buying it for a client, you're paying whatever it is, and then you can use it in an advertisement or on TV or in whatever. And that's usually how it works, unless you're getting something custom made. But you're right, like emoji is technically not a font, right? Like it
comes on your system as a font, but as far as copyright, I think they vaguely classify them as images still. So it's sort
exactly.
of
well, and then it's different in that you can't just go to a foundry. I mean, maybe you can, but there probably are some. But you can't just go to Apple and be like, "Oh, I would like to license this," right? Or I can't go to.
And people try. People try,
I'm sure
and they go,
do.
"Why didn't Apple get back to me? I wrote them an email and said how much for your emoji."
and so but because it is a standard and because it has been outlined what it looks like, you can create your own, or you could do what companies like Twitter have done and other places, and you could reach out to a font designer or a graphic designer and say, would you create a library or images around us? But at this point, I mean, I don't know what they used. They might have used something freely available. They might have drawn these themselves. They're super cute, whatever they used.
I like them. They look custom to me.
They look custom. Yeah, I like them.
Next article here. Why people use the thinking face emoji. A lot of words, which I spoke to Luke about this as well. The thinking face emoji, it seems like the ultimate emoji you just put on top of a link on Twitter, where you just go thinking face and then you paste the link, right? That's how everybody uses the thinking face, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like is usually how I think about it.
I'm not sure what I think about this article. I'm just going to put it out there. I can't be bothered spending the words explaining how dumb this is.
Yeah, I was going to say this was really long. And this was the Esquire one that I was thinking about. And yeah, this is just really long. And that's fine. I love people writing long form stuff about emoji, but I honestly think, and he's really focusing more on political Twitter than primarily. Like I see my friend Ashley Feinberg's tweets are there, and I see, Ben Collins, and I see some other stuff, and it's I think there's kind of become, again, kind of a vernacular around people who use this particular emoji in tweets. And so...
Do you use it in your tweets? Are you a thinking face emoji? It's a little bit snarkier. It takes me as a bit more snarky than you are on the tweets.
Yeah. It usually is more snarky. I typically don't. If it came down to like something really ridiculous, maybe I would. But no, I recognize and appreciate the people who do use it. But usually I'm not one of those people who, it doesn't fit my tweet style. There have been times like in Slack, especially at my previous jobs where I might have partaken in it. But on Twitter,
you're
I'm not so much.
you're a private thinking facer. You'll send them in private. To
Yeah,
say.
well, yeah. I mean, my snark. I don't know. I'm fine being snarky, but I tend to just kind of be pretty direct about what I think, rather than using the emojis to be like, "Huh, this is odd," because it's usually something really ridiculous, and you're just kind of going to interesting, but with a wink, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to say this is crazy. But
you don't have
see.
allegiances to be like, I don't want to say the words, I'm just going to raise this point. You'll just say, this sucks, or this is amazing, or whatever it is, as opposed to leave the reader hanging.
That's kind of my thing, is that's exactly usually how I am. Yeah. Maybe I should start using more of those things.
Every time I go to use the thinking face for the thing, I end up just not posting it, because I feel like if I don't feel as strongly enough to say anything about it, then I just like, nah, someone else can do it. There's so many people tweeting. All right. What have we got here? Jamie Oliver's new chatbot. I didn't quite understand these things when people do I don't know, like send emojis to this thing and we send you a thing, and they pitch it as being easier. I think it's fun. It's a fun headline.
I think it's fun.
I
don't think it's easier at all. I mean, okay, look, I will say that when, what was the porn site that did it?
Oh, I don't actually know.
Okay.
It does ring a bell. Was it Pornhub there, or
it was Pornhub? It was Pornhub. So Pornhub did it.
Things.
Yeah, Pornhub did a thing where you could send them a certain number of emojis, and then they would send you back recommendations based on those emoji. That was kind of brilliant, if I'm going to be honest. Like, whatever you think of Pornhub, whatever you think of their like, that was actually pretty brilliant. And that was like maybe 2 years ago that they were doing that, and that was really cool. But at this point, like, I don't know if I mean, this is fine, but again, like I think this honestly takes more time. And I think the whole point of emoji is that you're not supposed to spend your entire life deciphering it. Like, it's awesome people writing Moby Dick, totally an emoji. Like, I love those one-off types of things. I love anytime anybody's kind of doing the spectacle out of it and the gimmick, right? But I look at this and I'm like, is this actually going to help? Like, to me, I would think that a chat bot, if you're going to do a bot for a Jamie Oliver thing, what would be far more interesting would be to have a selector where you either type in what you have and maybe it puts the emojis in if you want to, or you select what's in your refrigerator and then it sends you the recipe. Like, to me, that would be more valuable than having to deal with this emoji stuff. But hey, I mean, it's cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit fun. I guess I always just grate every time it says easier or quicker in any of these things. I don't mind if they say it's more fun and it's entertaining, but when they try and pitch it like it's a time-saving device, I always think, who wrote that? Who believes that?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like, it's not. It's going to take more time, even for the people who live and breathe emoji like you. It's going to take more time to be like, okay, well...
Right.
There's
none
really
of this one. There's no potato. If I send them a sweet potato, yeah.
Right, exactly. Or it's like, I have this, but not this. I have the prawn, but not, well, I guess now we have the shrimp. But you know what I mean? Like, it's the difference. It's like, okay, this is similar to what I have, but is the bot going to understand? Or is it just going to be a one-to-one thing? So, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fun. People like them. It's fun. Try it out. I'm sure it is actually fun. But
I bet it is fun.
As a time-saving thing, I'll Google it.
Oh, you're definitely not saving time, but it is cute.
Yeah. What do we got here? This was going to be our last article, but one more snuck in at the last second. The iOS 11 emoji changelog, which is nothing because there were no new emojis in iOS 11.
Yeah, so that'll, I guess, be coming with like iOS 11.1 or 0.2, I guess, maybe.
I mean, that's my tip, is probably whatever the iPhone 10 comes pre-installed with would probably have it. Whatever. There's only 2.5 months, 3 months left in the year. There's only so much time that it's going to be. Incidentally, this article, as we often get feedback, people often ask me like, oh, why don't you cover this thing more or that thing more? This article about iOS 11 not having any emojis had far more people look at it than any Android emoji update article with the actual changes, because people, I don't know, I guess people know that that's what they wait for. It's like a time of the year for them.
Yeah, it's the time of the year for that. And I mean, maybe people have learned, and you would know this more than I would, but maybe people expect that they have iOS, they know they're going to get the emoji updates, whereas if you have Android, you're kind of at the mercy of your carrier, or
I think the normals have given up trying to think of when Android's going to get it, because they have no idea. It's not going to be at any time of the year if they ever get one.
If they ever get it. So, I mean, I think maybe some Android users are like, all right, well, when I buy my next phone, I'll have a new emoji.
Yeah. Right, yeah, I'll look up what's on the new phone.
Or I'll see, whatever emoji been built into Facebook Messenger or WeChat or WhatsApp has emojis, right?
WhatsApp uses Apple's ones on everything.
That's what I thought. Yeah, which is hilarious. That's what I thought. So, yeah, so I mean, they're just like, all right, well, I'll use whatever's in my texting app.
And speaking of Messenger, the last breaking news that Facebook has discontinued their sort of short-lived Messenger emoji update. So
yeah, this was interesting.
Let me just.
I never understood why they had both of them to begin with.
You know what? So for some timeline for people, about 18 months ago, Messenger out of nowhere came out with new emojis, and their pitch was, look, doesn't this kind of suck if you're on iOS and you send an emoji to an Android user?
Totally.
And it looks different, or it might not be supported. We're going to introduce our own set, and it's going to work. It'll look the same on all Messenger platforms, and you know what you're getting. But then 3 months after that, Facebook, the website, they hadn't touched their emoji implementation in years and years. And then they came out with a brand new set that had nothing to do with the Messenger emojis. And it was very strange. And I contacted Facebook PR and sort of said, like, hey, what's up with this? Like, why have you got two different sets? And they declined to comment, I think is the words that you use.
Yes.
And continued to decline to comment for the next year until now Messenger's been killed.
That's really interesting. I mean, the only thing I can kind of imagine is that those teams are run independently, and they both kind of had a similar idea. And then once I got to a certain point where we realized they were truly duplicating efforts, and maybe at a certain point it becomes confusing, for users to have one set of emoji in one platform and one in another, even though they're both Facebook. They had to make a decision, which one are we going to adopt? And might as well adopt the one that, look, Messenger has, I think, 1 billion users, I think they announced recently. So Messenger certainly has a huge user base, but Facebook is bigger. So right. It would make sense, especially if the Facebook one is now finally up to date, to maybe just make them all uniform. Because honestly, it is bizarre to have different emojis in two different apps, because it's not even like Instagram versus like I could almost understand the Instagram look, and usually anything Instagram just uses the default system ones.
Yeah,
I was gonna say they just use the default system ones, but I could understand that, because Instagram, even though it's part of Facebook and has become more integrated in certain ways, is still run as a separate app, right? Whereas
it doesn't call it Facebook Instagram.
Exactly.
It's called Instagram.
Exactly.
Whereas Messenger, I know they try and pitch it as being just Messenger, but everybody thinks
everybody knows
you need to
Facebook.
clarify.
Well, I mean, because you don't have to have a Facebook account to use it, but I think that probably 95% of the people who use it do. And so, makes some sense. Even though the teams are run separately, it makes sense for that to happen. So, I'm glad that you no longer have two different ones, but it is interesting, as you said, that like they kind of started the move towards more modernization and consistency, and then afterwards, the big blue app followed, and now
right.
Everything.
It wasn't entirely clear. I could have made the argument either way. On the one hand, maybe that they were trying to make Messenger such a different brand that they wanted everything to look different. It seemed a little bit flimsy, but if they made that argument, they could have argued it, which they didn't. And on the other hand, as you said, probably the more realistic option is that quite possibly two different design teams, different product teams just decided to make new emojis and then went, oh shit, what have we done? They just launched this and we were about to launch that. We'll just go ahead with it and figure it out later.
And there is some precedent for that with Facebook. I remember famously, right after Facebook launched or bought Instagram, I don't even think the ink was dry, they launched a thing called Facebook Camera, like a standalone app.
I remember that. I downloaded that. Yeah,
it was terrible, and I think I wrote a story at the time that says, Facebook Camera app proves why Instagram was worth $1 billion. And what it clearly, which is a great headline on my part, good take. 5 years later, I'm going to congratulate myself on that. That was a good take.
High five emoji for you.
Yeah, exactly. High five emoji for me. But no, but it was one of those things where clearly they'd been in development for that, and they were ready to go, and it didn't. The fact they just spent all this money on this other app didn't change the fact that they still had a scrum cycle, a release cycle to get through and product to put out. Eventually they shut it down as a separate app and kind of made changes and improvements and built it into the main app. But that happens from time to time where products work independently, teams work independently, and sometimes you see duplicative efforts like this, and then you figure out later on, because it takes time, how to merge them together.
Yeah, and when the company doesn't want to talk about it, you normally know that's not normally a good sign. If they definitely wanted to be a different brand, then that would be part of the message. And they'd say, let us tell you about our story.
Yes, please let us talk about your story. When they're like, we declined to comment. Oh, okay, cool.
I don't know. And in the end, it's just emojis in an app. It's still kind of getting phased out because everything on Facebook does A/B testing and all this. So I'm still seeing them on the website, but not.
I was going to say,
but,
and then people who use older versions of the app, and who knows how long that'll take.
Right.
We'll probably still be seeing the Facebook Messenger emojis or the Messenger emojis. Excuse me. You're right.
Messenger.
They have tried to drop the Facebook from that, but we've been they'll drop the Messenger emojis. We'll probably still be seeing them for some time, but eventually they'll be gone. R.I.P.
Yeah, so that is breaking news. That happened quietly last week, but I just heard back from Facebook late on Friday evening that this was definitely the case. So I've just published this. Now.
Amazing. So let me ask you a question about Emojipedia. How long will you maintain Messenger in the list of what different things look like? How long are you going to keep the Messenger and emojis alongside? Like,
so what we that's a good question, and we don't yet have a retire function. We will keep them on the website forever, but they should be demoted from the main list, right?
That's what I'm saying. Or, but do you keep them for a period of time and maybe have an annotation that says retired, but just let people know if they're still using an older version? Like, do you have like a grace period, or what do you do?
We're in a whole new world here. So far we've had, of the list now, we've got 2 dead emoji sets on the list now because Mozilla was also short-lived. That came and went, and kind of went through a phase of being dead and then undead. But nonetheless, I would think only a 6-month window maybe till we put it in some kind of retired subheading to say this is the past, man. You can go have a look if you want, but no one's
emoji.
seeing it anymore. Yeah.
The emoji Wayback Machine.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. We've yet to do that for any set, but if emoji sets keep getting killed like this, then we're going to have to introduce that section real soon. Hey, when would you expect it to be gone? Would you expect it to be still there in 6 months?
I mean, I think 6 months would be a good period of time. I think that's fair. And then, maybe have a link on the bottom of those things, see retired emojis or whatever, the emoji graveyard, whatever you want to call it.
Now, I was going to talk to you. I thought Windows 10 full creators update, that is not out yet. I've been testing the fast track build, which has all the new, you're on that one as well. That has all the new emojis. There's not really new news about it, but in 3 weeks or so, that'll be out.
Yeah, that'll be great. And I really like what they're doing with it. I think they look really good. There's also, you might have talked about it in your last episode, I don't know, but they've just made an update to Outlook so that historically what's happened with Outlook is if you use the smiley face, it'll kind of render as a J for anybody who uses your email.
Oh, God, the J. Oh, no, right? The J. Yes.
Well, the J is dead because now it actually puts in the emoji smiley face.
Praise the emoji lords. It's time.
It is
I still get emails for that, though, but that's old Outlook. Is that right? Are we talking with old Outlook?
It'll take, forever. I mean, you probably still will in the foreseeable future, but the latest versions of Outlook now replace it with the emoji, and that is so good. I was like, oh my God, because I became one of those J people because what would happen is the would autocorrect kind of like wingdings or whatever, font would do if you would do, the smiley face and then, anybody else reading it on a non-Outlook client would be like, what is this?
For the longest time, I thought people in office-type scenarios took to calling me a really informal J because my name starts with J. And I just thought they'd be really quite formal in person and very, very not, they didn't seem like the type of person who would give me a shorter name. But all of a sudden in emails, they'd say, thanks, J, at the end. And I'd be like, oh. They never call me Jay in person, but sure.
Yeah. I don't remember when I did. I mean, I probably at some point Googled it like anyone else. I was like, what is this? Because you don't see it in Gmail, you don't see it in Apple Mail. But obviously tens of millions of people, use Outlook every day and in Outlook, it renders correctly. But now it will render as an emoji rather than as a J. So that's cool.
Well, this is excellent news. I'll definitely jump on that. I'm already writing up the details for the new Windows emoji set for later in the month, but I will fire up some Outlook action as well and send all the J's. Well, not the J's anymore. I'll just send some smileys and see how they convert. Christina, thanks so much for coming on. The time just flew by. Could you tell people how they can find you on the internet if they want to hear more of your thoughts on life and the world?
Of course. Well, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at film_girl. I'm also on Snapchat at film_girl, but if I'm being honest, I haven't used it as much later because Instagram stories are so much better. You can see my tweets, which do often include emojis at there as well. And if you like listening to me talk, I do a podcast called Rocket on Relay FM. So that's relay.fm/rocket. And it's all about just kind of general tech news of the week.
Rocket is very good. I can highly recommend Rocket. It is in my list. And I was wondering how you describe Rocket. I wouldn't call it a tech show as such, but it's sort of like a tech show.
It's kind of a tech. I mean, we call it Accelerated Geek Conversation. So it's just three girls talking about the latest things happening in tech and culture and making fun of each other. It's a good time. It's a good show.
It's good. It's worthwhile. If you want to follow me, I'm at Jeremy Burge on Twitter, on Instagram. Also, don't bother following me on Snapchat. I've moved. And the show is at Emoji Wrap. Although somehow we kind of got a broken Instagram account, so just follow it on Twitter, at Emoji Wrap on Twitter. And thank you, Christina, for coming on. Thank you to Jonathan Mann, who sings the theme music that might be playing in the background by now, and to Joshua Jones, who provided the artwork for the show. And thanks to all of you for listening in, and I will speak to you next time.